Okay. Hey, everybody. I think we're live. Welcome to Askinosie Chocolate, sort of chocolate and donut chat with me and Lawren, my daughter. So, Lawren, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome from Austin, Texas. What's it like in Austin today? What's it like?
It's a stormy day here.
It is here too.
You should see the setup of lights that I have in front of me so that you could actually see me. It's that dark here, which is not very Austin-like, but.
Well, I miss Austin. And well, thank you for being here, and thank you guys for being here. This is our second episode, hopefully in a continuing series. And we try to do this on Fridays. Really, if we were being truly authentic to the tradition, we would do this on Saturday mornings, but that's really not going to be possible given the bandwidth that I have where I live out in the sticks. And you probably don't want to wake up super early like you did back in the old days. But why don't you explain kind of where this sort of, let's call it coffee and donuts, or
Sure.
Actually, it's probably for you, it was chocolate milk, but go ahead and explain.
That's true, it was. I don't think it became coffee until I was a teenager.
Yeah. So
one of my most treasured memories is that every Saturday from the time I was 2 until I moved out of the house, basically, my dad would wake me up or come pick me up at a friend's house when I was a teenager. And we would go to the donut shop every Saturday morning. And we had that was our tradition. That was our date. And he would take me to get donuts, and I got a chocolate donut every time, the same thing. I think that's probably my earliest chocolate memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would.
You see the picture? I put the picture on the screen of us at Supreme Bakery.
Yeah. That's a cute picture.
Someone last time, people have already seen it, but
yeah,
I never get tired of seeing it. So
yeah, no, it's a special memory. And after we got donuts, we would also usually go to the bookstore or the library.
We and then we kind of graduated once Krispy Kreme moved to town. We kind of went there, and I actually wanted to get Krispy Kreme this morning, and I got in line, and I'm not kidding. There were literally 30 cars in line at the drive-through. So I was like, well, it'll be coffee for me, and we're going to do some other stuff here. We're going to taste a new product, which I'll talk about in a minute. We're going to take questions. And then sort of the subject for today is, what's it like navigating a family business? And while Lawren and I aren't experts on it, we certainly have experience in our own little world of family business, and we'll talk about that, maybe take some questions, and we'll see just how relaxed we are and how willing we are to go deep. Probably not on a Friday morning, but anyway, we'll talk about that, and it'll be a fun conversation. Yeah, it was funny because yesterday I literally had a Junie B. Jones quote yesterday in one of my emails, and of course I remember that book because after the donut shop we'd go to Barnes and Noble, and you'd buy, when you were 4, you were reading books at college level, but
Ribsy was my first chapter book. I remember that. I remember going to the lady that worked there and saying, I want a chapter book.
Which one did you say?
Ribsy. It's a Beverly Cleary, like Ramona, and it was part of that series. But yeah, Junie B. Jones was big.
Yeah, Speedy Fast.
Yeah.
That's what I quoted yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was Speedy Quick.
Was it Speedy Quick?
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
I thought it was Speedy Quick too. We'll have someone will
chime in. Let us know if
if we have any listeners. And I know it's working because Kaylin told me, thankfully, that we are actually live. But those were just, and we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this idea of tradition and kids. And while we're talking about that, last time you revealed a really special announcement, and that you're going to have a baby. Did you say what sex it was going to be when we talked about it?
I think I did, but I'm having a little girl.
Yes, so exciting.
I'm very excited about.
And she's due in August. And well, so how are you feeling?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking. It's been not what I expected for my first pregnancy, but feeling really good, very calm and almost kind of serene, which is unusual for me. And my sort of type A hard charging personality, I have a lot of peace about what's coming up. It's not, I only have a few weeks left, so I'm excited and I'm glad we're coming back to the tradition thing later, because that's something that I've been thinking a lot about, and the traditions that I hope to have with our daughter and my husband as well, which, he still talks about, when he met me, how cool he thought that was, that we had that special thing. So.
Yeah. Well, and I hope that there will be a grandparent tradition too. I'm hoping, because I know your mom and I have been talking, and I hope that we at least get to see her.
I know.
Every other day or something like that, or maybe every weekend, but we can hope.
I hope that you get to see her, sooner than later, along with all of our other friends and loved ones. That's something that we are concerned about and trying to have peace about, Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot in the news, a whole lot in the news about women who are having to navigate this crisis in the midst of pregnancy. And so I'm sure that has absolutely affected you as you've attempted to access care in Austin.
Absolutely. Yes. It's been very interesting. I'm lucky that I'm with an amazing birth center and working with midwives who have been truly unbelievable in their care, but everything's been telehealth. So I've had to buy a blood pressure cuff and a measuring tape to measure my fundal height, and a Doppler, and they've educated us. So I feel very empowered, in this pregnancy to have this kind of knowledge and education. But it's also a little unnerving to basically, have a couple of in-person appointments up until the very end, and then, that's it.
Yeah.
But I feel very lucky. There are a lot of other women who are dealing with complications in their pregnancies and struggling with, access to care in even greater ways. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we're going to get back to that, because remind me, as we talk about family business, I want to get back to this. Please, please, please don't let me forget. The one thing I want to make sure that we do, because one of the things we said we were going to do here is introduce our new product, which came out on Tuesday.
Yep.
And so I'm going to show it here. And it is.
There she is.
Yeah. It's chocolate covered hazelnuts and cherries. These things are amazing. And so I can show the inside. Lauren, do you want to talk a little bit about what this is and how it got started? And
absolutely. So these are kind of our version of bridge mix, which some of you may be familiar with, or just a snack mix. This is something that we've been working on and concepting since fall of last year. And our amazing chocolate maker, Brad, has been working on different R&D recipes and trying to come up with the perfect chocolate to complement the perfect fruit and nut. So we landed on Dew Chili hazelnuts, which are a premium variety. They've got a great flavor. Those are dry roasted. And then these really tart, delicious, a little bit sweet, organic being dried cherries. And they're coated in our Tanzania dark chocolate, and then also our coconut milk chocolate.
Yes. And I noticed that we had a Facebook viewer, Tara, who was saying that she really likes our coconut milk. And so being vegan, she really appreciates that. And so I think she might like this product, but keep going.
For sure. And, this is pretty clean, like most of our other products. Gluten-free, dairy-free. And really, we weren't sure when all this started, how are we going to be able to release this product? Obviously, we're working from home. We have staggered shifts at our factory, but we felt like these were finally at the place where we were ready to share them. Our team's been snacking on them. I've been snacking on them for, a few weeks during our Zoom meetings. And
here's kind of what the inside, I just cut them.
Yeah.
It's hard to put on the camera, but can you see that?
Yeah, they look good. You've got it well.
So it's backwards, so it's hard. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, scoot it over.
That's the cherry.
Right.
And that's the hazelnut.
Right.
And they're really good.
It's crunchy, it's chewy, it's sweet, it's salty. We've been kind of adding them to like little snack boards in the evenings, but honestly, I've really been eating them at my desk when I'm in, brainstorm sessions with the team or a longer Zoom meeting. They're just a great thing to snack on, a lot like our malt balls. And they're made in the same way as our malt balls. They're made in our vintage panning machine. And I think we've got some pictures. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can. Hopefully everyone else can too.
Yeah, so the first thing we would do is temper chocolate. And so this is our food porn shot of the day. And but that's the first step in us making this chocolate. And then that kind of gives you a sense of scale of what the panner looks like. It's essentially, the way I explain it is it's sort of like a cement mixer. Yeah. I mean, it kind of operates the same principle. So it's going to turn, and then and this is the malt balls. And so Brad will take whatever it is that we're coating, and as the machine is actually turning, he'll take that tempered chocolate and pour the tempered chocolate in on the product while it's actually.
This is as handmade as it gets.
Yeah. Do you have any there, Lawren? You've tasted it.
I do. Yeah, I have some with me. I do not have the beautiful packaging, so I've been eating out of prototype jars, which I have tons of around my house. I was just cleaning out my pantry, and if you all only knew the amount of prototype chocolate bars and other things that we're working on that I have, but. We've
worked with these hazelnuts for a long, long time. Yeah. Orchards. As Lawren said, these are Duchilli. I think the thing about a Duchilli hazelnut, if I was going to say, is that it's a very subtle, nutty flavor, and so it's not a super strong flavor, and not as common as other hazelnut varieties, but we like them. And they used to be in a product that we made that went on vacation about, a year ago?
Yeah, about a year ago.
Yeah, our chocolate hazelnut spread. And that just people loved it, but it just wasn't something that we're making right now.
Maybe we'll reissue it. We get a lot of questions about it. And I miss it, but yeah, it's the same cream of hazelnuts. Yeah,
and I have about 24 jars of that at my house. So
Stockpiled. Yeah, so it's the ingredients themselves are really important.
Yeah. Now this is our first pan product. So the first thing we did was chocolate covered malt balls, and that's what you saw in the picture. These have been very hard for us to keep in stock. And again, Brad's making this in the same machine, and you've seen these, and that's kind of what they look like. Now, what I do, and I don't know if I'll end up doing this with the hazelnuts and cherries, but what I actually do, literally in the afternoon, sitting here by myself in the office because nobody else is here, everybody's working from home, I literally will get my peanut butter, and I will put peanut butter on a malt ball and just sit here at 3 in the afternoon eating peanut butter and malt balls. And that's kind of my little indulgence, for the day.
And that's a great malt ball hack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I love putting we have a peanut butter chocolate bar. Anyway, I love peanut butter on just about everything. So I'm sure I'll probably end up doing it on these hazelnuts and cherries too. And, as long as the FDA is not listening, I will preface what I'm saying with, I'm not saying what I'm about to say is not a health claim. What I'm saying is there is some evidence to suggest that cherries dried cherries can have some nutritional benefits in terms of, and you were showing me some research yesterday about anti-inflammation and other benefits. People can do their own research, but there are some health benefits to cherries.
Yeah, there's a lot of antioxidants, like our chocolate. And again, it's good for people to look into it on their own. We try to be careful about what we say in terms of health claims.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my husband's been eating these and pairing them with a beer in the evenings. I'm not partaking in that, but he's really been enjoying the cherries and hazelnuts, just having a handful. And I think we later this afternoon have a beer pairing suggestion actually on our social media. So stay tuned. But hopefully you'll be able to, currently these are available online at askinosie.com, of course, and hopefully sooner than later they're going to be on the shelves of our retailers. Several, groceries that are open have already ordered these, and so you will be able to find them across the country, and we'll see what happens over the next few weeks and months. And
it goes good with coffee. I mean, in the morning, it's a nice little snack. And you might be thinking, ooh, that's a cool mug. Where would one acquire one of those things? Well, you can get that on our website too. Oh, speaking of where you can get stuff, I mean, our storefront's not open right now. And in case people are wondering, you can buy our products at your local specialty food store. Of course, in Springfield, it's going to be Mama Jean's and Brown Derby Wine Center. But across the country, some specialty food stores have remained open as essential businesses, and others, places where our product have been sold, have temporarily closed, and maybe they'll be back open. But, we ship a lot. We've been doing shipping. We've shipped chocolate since day one. In fact, in the very beginning, we shipped chocolate all over the world. Yeah. And we stopped doing that. And we're really pretty efficient. We're a very, very small business, but we know how to ship product. And it's beginning to warm up a little bit, but we know how to do that too. Yeah. And we know how to do that in an environmentally friendly way. And we're continuing to use those practices even in the midst of all of this. So you can get it shipped to you and no problem. And I think we've now gone to warm weather shipping. So it's $59?
Right. So free shipping is triggered at purchases of $59 or more. So, and we can get you your chocolate pretty quickly. We're only shipping Monday through Wednesday. We've got to be really careful to avoid something sitting in a hot FedEx warehouse over the weekend. But our shipping manager, Greg, I actually don't know how he does what he does. He's truly a one-man operation of amazingness. But we've been really blown away and touched personally by the support in our on our website and people that are placing orders, and it's exciting for us to see the notes from folks, and we're glad to be able to provide maybe just a little bit of joy during this difficult time. And that's why we decided, let's go ahead and release these and make them available to people. And again, maybe it's just something nice in your day that you can look forward to.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And we talked about this last time, and I think it bears repeating. Lawren and I are laughing today. We're enjoying some time together, and we're kind of we're sharing this with all of you guys, and we're kind of bringing back a tradition of donuts and, in her case, chocolate milk that we would have when she was a little girl. And we started doing that donut shop routine when she was 2 years old. And we stopped doing it when she was 16, which is when she moved out into the dorm at Drury College and started then. And really after that, we did it kind of periodically, but that was pretty much it.
Then it turned into trips together.
What's that?
Then it turned into these, trips across the globe together. I mean, our donut shop Saturdays have evolved.
You're sort of jumping over one of the things I'm most proud of, which is taking you to multiple Backstreet Boys and NSYNC concerts. That deserves some sort of Purple Heart award.
Oh yeah, well, and not just Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, but I was talking with a friend the other day about Austin City Limits, which is a staple of my teenagehood and now adulthood living in Austin. It's literally in my neighborhood. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to be taking place. And I was talking about the first year that I went, I was 15. I asked you, would you take me out of school to go? I've got to go to this festival. You did. It was 108 that weekend. And I was talking with this friend. I was remembering being literally right in front for Death Cab for Cutie and the Frames, and there were thousands of people, and it was 5 million degrees, and you were hanging in there.
I was, man. I just wanted to be able to say
that deserves.
I became very cool because I knew who Death Cab for Cutie was. I mean, I knew that, you know, and I could. You taught me that, so hopefully your little baby girl will be teaching you how to be cool and me and
I hope so. Well, you know, live music is such a big part of what we, you know, do together. And even now, you know, to this day, you know, my husband and I will go to Austin City Limits with my parents, which is super fun. And I hope that live music resumes sooner than later.
Yeah, me too.
And support local bars and venues and bands and musicians.
You know, I think this is a nice segue because travel is something that you and I have, while maybe not going to donut shops, we go to donut shops in different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we were going to talk about today is what it's like to be in a family business, what it's like to navigate in a family business. And this was your idea. And I was a little bit surprised that you wanted to jump off into the deep end of the pool here. But
well, it's something we get asked about, you know, quite a bit from people. You know, what is it like working with your dad or your daughter?
Yeah. Okay. You want to go ahead? Why don't you, well, let me I can set this up. So when Lawren went to school, as I said, she was very young. She was 16. It freaked me out. I couldn't believe she was leaving home. I couldn't believe she was living in the dorm. I was definitely not in favor of that. But it happened. And that was the same year that I had my last jury trial. In fact, in the fall, when she moved into the Drury campus, it was the beginning of my last jury trial. And that was good so that I could be distracted by something else instead of the sadness of you leaving home. But that was about the time, and that was exactly the time at the conclusion of that jury trial is when the chocolate factory started. So in 2007, 8, you know, then you would be working in the chocolate factory on weekends or especially in the summers. And if I was having trouble putting a sentence together in a paragraph, you would help me when you had time from your studies. But that's when you really started working. It was really kind of gradual. It was little by little. And then you came to work full-time when you graduated in 2010.
Yeah.
So it's been 10 years. And I'm not going to mention any names, but so Lawren started in May, and who would have been her supervisor left, the director of sales that summer. So Lawren graduated and became the director of sales within 3 months. She was promoted. So with that being said, so why don't you take it from there?
Yeah. Well, you know, I kind of joke when people say, oh, what is that like? You know, you work together, you helped your dad write a book. And I say 95% of the time it's great, which I think is pretty true for me. But the, you know, the 5% when it's not great, it's really not great. And it's hard because, you know, it's your family. I mean, for us, there's not a lot of separation between business and work and father and daughter and family. And, you know, this is our lives, and it's something really special. You know, the shared experiences and memories that we have together, I think, are one of my favorite parts of working with you, releasing products, celebrating factory milestones, the travel. But also it's not easy. This is something that we work hard at. And I think that's important to mention because, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And we work at being intentional. It's been about a decade. And we really had to work for where we are, like any relationship. And I think because we treat it like something that we need to be intentional about it helps us kind of navigate the waters. But I was hoping to, dig in a little bit to some of the challenges and also some of our tips for navigating this different kind of situation, because family business can be great. It does get a bad rap, and there's a lot of great examples of where it doesn't work well. But then there are some other family businesses that we're lucky to work with that I think are doing a great job. And for me, it's something that is a big joy in my life.
Like American Spoon.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. They're an amazing family business that we've learned a lot from.
We have. I think for me, it wasn't something that I gave a lot of thought to. And of course, speaking of family business, and your mom, who's probably watching now.
Maybe sometimes she watches, and then sometimes she's like, oh,
Yeah, but she worked in the business in the beginning in shipping, and that didn't last very long. And, that was tough for she and I to work together, because I would be back in my office and she'd be shipping. And she would come back to the office and ask me why I wasn't working on, fill in the blank. And that was not super pleasant. But she has remained very active in the business behind the scenes. And a lot of people don't know that. But I mean, you talk to her all the time about, different strategy questions or just management questions. And you talk to her every day about it. I talk to her a lot about it. Back in the beginning, she had a card that said Director of Common Sense. And she is that. She's definitely the rock of the family, and she has played that role. She's played that role as sort of mediator as it relates to you and I and the family business, to the point that when I come home from work, she'll ask me a question, and it's traveled to her faster than, it's like, sometimes I think she and you have your own like internal Twitter account or something where
you have a Slack going.
Yeah. And I'm like, how did you know that? I just spoke those words, 45 seconds ago. But I will say, sort of echoing what you said, your mom just said, I'm here.
Thank you, Mom, for being here and watching.
Yeah, okay. And so, but she has definitely played Switzerland between you and I. And, and I think that every family business needs to have people in the family who are somewhat removed, but who can also be really good objective observers, because there are some times where I am so strident. I know a lot of people out there in Facebook land, my friends on Facebook, would think, well, you seem like such a calm person, Shawn. You seem so laid back and chill. Well, that is not the case. I see Jamie Fields from Lost and Found is watching, and she knows I'm definitely not chill at Lost and Found. But I am not a chill person. I am not laid back. I am very intense. On the intensity scale, maybe in my 40s, from a scale of 1 to 10, I was probably a 20. Now I'm still over a 10 most of the time. And that's hard. That is hard for anybody. It's hard for people who work with me. It's hard for, John Taylor. It's hard. It's hard for you. It's hard for anyone who works with me. And I get that. And I'm becoming more and more aware of it because of your mom, because she will say, you were way too intense with Lawren on this, that, or the other. And, maybe I was quicker to recognize that because she intervened and said, this, that, and the other. But so I would say, just on balance, that like you said, it has been the on the one hand the most rewarding thing I've ever done, working with you, and then I would also say that it's been maybe one of the most challenging things that I've ever done. And I've done a lot of challenging things that are quite stressful. But what I would say, why this is hard for me, and this might be hard, maybe others, I'm going to share this screen again, but this is getting pretty personal. So we're going to go kind of deep, and we have about 15 minutes left. And so we have time to do this, but hey, family business people, feel me on what I'm about to talk about. So this little girl in this picture is the one who's talking now in this Facebook Live. And it's hard for me sometimes to separate those two. So I look over here at this picture and I think, oh, we're at Supreme Bakery. We're going to go read a little Junie B. Jones or Bob the Builder. And it's hard for me to recognize and to distinguish the changing roles. And so what I would encourage, and hey, man, I'm encouraging, I'm aspirational in this. I have not achieved this at all, but I encourage, parents who are maybe in the position of having one of your children, now adults in your business, to think about them as adults. And that can be really hard to do. And, I even to this day, it's challenging, but it's getting easier for me. And you want to talk about kind of what we did to sort of work our way through that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of what you're talking about is awareness. And so for us, a few years into this, and our working relationship, has also evolved. But we have always been a family that was a proponent of therapy. And that became something that we pursued individually, but also together, therapy and coaching. And I cannot stress enough.
You and I mean, to be clear, you and I did.
How helpful and important I think that is. I mean, when I meet people that say like, oh, I've never been to therapy, or my hat's off to those people who can navigate their lives without, occasionally having someone that's objective, that's a professional that helps them learn skills to navigate any relationship. It improves every aspect of my life. We've worked separately and together to improve our communication. And that was important to us, not just for our personal relationship, but also as co-owners and of leaders in this company. How we treat each other is really important in terms of the precedent that we're setting and the expectation that we're setting for the culture of our company. And, we joke a lot with each other and, sometimes maybe in ways that we shouldn't, but it's always been important to us that we would never talk to each other in a way that we wouldn't want anyone else in our company to.
But we have.
We have. And we tried to recognize, okay, we really need to be intentional about this. So we've worked together with executive coaches, with therapists, and it made a huge difference. Again, we're not experts at this. We are not perfect, but some of the skills that we learned, we still use now, and I use in other relationships. For example, we were taught by one coach to explicitly acknowledge when one of us says or does something that makes the other person feel seen and acknowledged. And so by that, I mean, if my dad says or texts or emails to me or to anyone, and I hear it secondhand, compliments something that I've worked on or something that I've created, and that resonates, I make it a point to send a text or a quick call and say, hey, I heard you when you said that, and I really appreciated it, and it made me feel, whatever way. That's made a huge difference, honestly, that very small, explicit acknowledgement of one another. And I don't know if that's been, true for you, but it's something that I've used in other relationships, and I can't tell you how helpful that is.
Yeah, no, I have seen that, and I think for me, and I would imagine other parents, going back to this, ability to recognize the evolution of the role and the growth of the other person. So I think it's super common. And we talked about this in our therapy, in our joint therapy, where the parent in the business it doesn't matter the age of the adult child, they still view them as a child. I mean, it happens even if you aren't in business. You think of your 30-year-old son or daughter as that's your kid. And we as parents, we want to think like that. We want to think, well, I would do anything for my child. It doesn't matter their age. They can be 60, and you want to do anything. You would do anything. You would lay down your life for your kid. And so when you bring that with you in business, it's hard. So I'm not going to share the screen again, but the picture of the little girl, I mean, that was at a time in my life I was, trying cases. I was getting death threats. People wanted to kill me. These were legitimate. We had to, go through all kinds of crazy training on what to do if you were taken hostage. And, that is serious. That's serious. I mean, that really happened.
Some good stuff to unpack in therapy if you want to.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I love my job. I didn't really feel threatened by it. But I don't know why. I mean, I look back and I'm like, people wanted to kill me. Really? So anyway, so I had to, over time, and I have had to over time, view you in the role of, 30-year-old soon to be mom and co-owner of the business with me and leader in the business. And that has been really, really challenging. And I'm not going to name names, but I know of small businesses, medium, and really big businesses where the principals in the company face the same challenges. And now, last time, when we had our little Facebook Live session, I got emotional. This time, I'm not going to do it because I've thought about this and not get emotional. But here's the thing, and I'll go back and I said, remind me of Dreamy being here. I know that's not her name, but your mom calls her Dreamy.
That's true.
Because she had a dream about her.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Well, I was going to say, it's also okay if you get emotional. I mean, for the record, we're deep here. I mean,
I don't know some of these people who are here, but I'm sure they're my friends. They won't judge me. I don't care anyway. But the deal is, I would say this. The pandemic has made your situation of getting ready to have a baby, much more challenging. And so me as a dad, I have seen you navigate really, really difficult circumstances, that we don't need to go into in the last 7, or 6 months that has, even though this has been challenging for you, super challenging, and it's been really challenging for your mom to not be able to be there with you. And she used to be a labor and delivery nurse, then a school nurse. So, it's her nature to be there with you. Hopefully she'll be there. We'll both be there in August. I mean, I won't be there for the very last part. But anyway, but so now I have had, even though this has been a terrible thing that you've had to go through, I I now see you in a different light. You know, you have wanted me. One of the things that we talked about in therapy is, why don't you see me as the strong woman that I am? Mm. And I would go back to that picture. You know, it's just so hard. But now I really do. And I do because of the way you've navigated this. This doesn't have anything to do with business, but it has to do with your own life and the challenges that you face bringing this little baby girl into the world. And so in that way, I see a silver lining in this pandemic, at least for our relationship.
Well, thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. I already feel changed in many ways, even though my daughter isn't here yet. But by this experience, of course, it's fairly monumental. Literally, your brain chemistry changes as you become a mom. But I know that becoming a parent myself is going to give me so much more insight and empathy into everything that you've been saying. That's one of the aspects I look forward to a lot when it comes to being a parent. You know, I'm so grateful to have you and my mom to be the excellent grandparents that I know you're going to be. But I look forward to our relationship evolving in that way, where I have just this greater understanding of how you feel about me and how you feel about parenthood. And I'm excited to learn even more from you. I've learned so much from you working with you in this business. And that's been just
immeasurable. So we do have a few more minutes, and to kind of same topic, but Lawren and I have been able to travel a lot together. And, one of the memories that I have, of course, traveling is just a ton of fun. Lawren and I both love it, and it's something we really miss right now. Yeah. But I think it was on one of the times she went with me to Tanzania, we stopped in Istanbul. Mm-hmm. And so this picture is us. Lawren is really good about knowing where she is and how to get around and how to navigate. She got that from my dad, who was a navigator in the Marine Corps. It skipped me, but it went to her.
It really did.
We were somewhere. We were crossing from Istanbul into.
Well, we were staying on the European side, and we were crossing over, to the Asian side, crossing the Bosphorus on a ferry. And this is after maybe 2 hours of sleep. I mean, we'd been traveling already for a while to get there.
This is Lawren with a map. Many of you probably don't even know what that is, but it's a paper thing that back in the day, people would use that to get from one place to another, and that's all we had. And you were able to do that, and you were saying, and so we've traveled together, and we've loved doing that domestically and internationally. But I remember on that trip, one of the funny things, we had this really tiny hotel, and I scoped it out in advance, and it was a cool place in a cool part of Istanbul, but they only had one bed. Mm-hmm. And so they had this, I don't know if they have like the, family bed, but they had this bed that had like a wooden fence down the middle of it. Remember, there was like this with pickets.
Yeah, it was great. And what I remember too was that this hotel was super cool, but there were some little ants that you had on your side of the bed, I think. And we were just so tired. This day was amazing. I look back on it so fondly, but we literally took every form of transportation, including a funicular that day. Like a funicular, it's like a.
Isn't that in your mouth, that thing that?
That's your frenulum.
Oh, well, whatever. Okay.
But so we got back to the hotel, and we were so excited to shower and get in bed, and there were, like ants, and you're not a fan of like bugs and critters, and I'm not particularly either. And I just remember laughing so hard because you were like, well, maybe do you want to switch sides? I wanted to with the ants.
Oh, there are so many stories like that. But we've been able to travel, and this was a recent picture this was our last trip, and it was our last international trip in front of the preschool that the Askinosie Foundation and Chocolate University Foundation built for these kids in Tanzania. So that was that picture is quite a memory right there.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, yes, it's hard, and sometimes, look, this family business thing. I mean, I don't even know. I would like, we could probably open a consulting business on, should you do it or should you not do it? I mean,
all the things not to do.
What's that?
All the things not to do.
All the things not to do, and gosh, there are so many times that I've been such an asshat, and I mean, just countless times. I'm sure yesterday, but it's one of those things that I wouldn't trade it. And this photo, I think, represents a moment in time that, I'll never forget these moments. And it's especially important to me. And I've mentioned this before and written about it, but, my dad was a lawyer and he died when I was 14. And before he got sick, it was always just kind of presumed that I'd be a lawyer and go into practice with him. And that's what I would do. And then when he died, that obviously that dream went away. And I never really thought that, that you would go into business with me, but it's almost like it is a dream come true. Despite all the challenges and everything, it's just one of those things that no matter what happens to the business, no matter what happens, I mean, it'll be something that I'm truly grateful for, really.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, the rewards and the joy far outweigh the challenges, great though they may be at times. I really would encourage anybody that's considering it and has heard, all the bad parts of it to, reach out to people that that are doing it. But it can be really, really meaningful and special and fulfilling.
Yeah. Your husband, Scott, just wrote joke break. So were you with me the time when we were in the headmaster's office at the Moaya Secondary School?
Yes.
So Lawren hit the nail on the head. I don't like spiders. Okay. I don't like snakes either. And we have a whole litany of snake stories in Tanzania, which we don't have time for now, but we're sitting in the headmaster's office and of the school in Tanzania, and he's welcoming us to the school. And we have a Chocolate University program there. We did have a 5-year school lunch program. And so we have a lot of relationships at that school. We have Empowered Girls there, Enlightened Boys there now. But we're sitting there, and I'm not kidding you, on the wall next to his desk, there was a spider the size of the palm of my hand.
I mean, it was dinner plate size.
Literally, it was this big.
And hairy. I mean, it.
And I remember I stood up from my chair to the headmaster and I said, what is that thing? Why are you just sitting here? It's like no big deal to him.
Like that spider, I mean, it had like a family and like a brain. Like, I mean, it like thought thoughts.
Pui pui? Is it pui pui?
I think so. I've since learned, I think it's bui bui in Swahili. Bui bui. I thought that it was pui pui, but our
family, we've called it pui pui, but
that is what we call it now. Yeah. That was a pretty amazing memory, I have to say.
But oh my gosh. Well, listen, I haven't really seen, we're about ready to wrap it up. I haven't seen any questions that have come in. I'm going to scroll back through and see if there's.
Yeah, I did too. I haven't seen lots of really sweet comments from people.
But, just to kind of remind people that you can get this online. The cherries and hazelnuts are awesome. And I've had a lot this morning. You've probably seen me eat about 20 of them. And we really, really, really appreciate you guys joining us and taking time. And this thing will be living on our Facebook page. So if people didn't get a chance to take an hour out of their Friday morning when they probably should be working, but hey, it's a little bit of a break. And anything concluding, Lawren?
Well, if you have questions, feel free to submit those on Facebook or Instagram, and we can try to get to them there. But otherwise, we just appreciate you being here and letting us talk with each other and talk at you. And we hope to do maybe another 1 or 2 of these before the baby comes. It's just a few weeks at this point. But yeah, this is a lot of fun.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Lawren, thanks for being here. I love you, and I'll probably talk to you tonight. Okay. Bye, everybody. I love you too. Bye.